I'm here on a place where I've spent many hours. This is a fabulous, fabulous place to be. It just feels good, in part because of the integration of timbers, stone, and landscaping for just awesome outdoor living. But I have to say that part of what makes it awesome is the owner, Walt, has a real meticulous nature, and he keeps things up. The lawn is always mowed every other day, whether it needs it or not. The posts, wherever they see sun, they get another coat of stain every year. So they just look great all the time. And there's something about order that we like. And when we get order mixed with nature, we get to kick back and enjoy it, right? I want to talk about how this project started. We've been here many times over the years. And I'd like to start with my thinking right at the beginning. Walt had kind of told me about his vision for the place. This is a winery. Lots of people come here. Lots of people enjoy this. There's a lot of weddings and events that take place here. And so he's looking at a broader picture, how to make this great. Well, when I heard that, I'm thinking, how far do we have to unravel this ball of yarn to make it awesome, right? No expense considered. Let's do the brainstorming piece of it first. What I failed to really take into account is a lot of the old established precedent and history. There's a big Quonset barn built back in the 30s, I believe, 1930s. And there's telephone poles and old buildings, and this has been a farm converted to a vineyard. So I was kind of working backwards, thinking that we had to redo a whole bunch for the entrance to be grand right at the start. And now it's more subdued and it kind of flows and it has its own organic flow, which we've enhanced with the timber structures and then of course the stone, and Walt's done the landscaping and the rock walls. And it's kind of evolved. And how does this happen? Well, we started with the big pavilion, and that's right next to the big Quonset barn that is now storing grapes and wine and whatnot. Because of this big curve, we established that we wanted to do curved timbers. And we originally started with the big structure. It's over 100 feet by 30 some feet. And we had done a timber frame for the whole thing. But then we kind of backed off and went a little bit hybrid. So when you see this, the footage will come up, you'll see the big open rafters, the valleys, all this beautiful geometry. And then you're gonna see timber frame posts and beams with a flat ceiling and just tongue and groove ceiling on there. And it really feels good too. If it had been timber framed, it would have really felt more rustic and had its own vibe and been great. But this flat ceiling, there's nothing wrong with a flat ceiling either. And it turned out good. Anyway, that's a hybrid tip to put in your hat. And just know that as it flows and goes back and forth with your planning, your decisions, you'll land in a good spot. As long as you keep the end goal in your head clear, you'll do good. So that was the first project. The second project, you see behind me here, the stage, and then there's the gazebo. And those were done at once. The stage was kind of fun to design in that we had done a square stage and whatnot, but it just didn't feel right. It's like when you're talking to a group of people, you kind of naturally form a circle so that no one's excluded, everybody's kind of there, and that's just good energy. You can see the stage has the corners tipped back so that the energy's going outward. It's kind of starts the circle, if you will. There's no dead spots. And that was interesting in design. It gave us a big challenge with all these odd angles and math. A lot of fun with that. And the stone, and it mimics also the big pavilion just right across the way. So that was the stage. And then the floating gazebo, that was, I guess I can't take credit for it. That was my sawyer at the time who was providing us with the timbers. This was a while ago because now we're cutting our own stuff. This sawyer has since stopped selling timbers. but he also did houseboats. So he was all in the know about houseboats. He said, you could do a floating gazebo for Walt, he told me. And then so the idea got started, Walt liked it, and one thing led to another, and we got a floating gazebo out there. And what to do with that, the design went back and forth, and we decided on something, we landed on something that had the hips, nice picturesque gazebo without the high ceilings. It's vaulted on the inside, but it's nice and cozy. And the dock originally was going to be hexagon as well, but it ended up being square because it just gave that much more place to sit. People could sit in the sun, and that's a decision Walt made, and it was a good one. You'll see when we get out there, really cool to sit on the water and just be that much closer to nature. Water has its own tranquility and vibe. With this outdoor living pavilion here, it turned out great. There's a nice vaulted area for the main attraction, and then lots of seating and space with a lower ceiling that feels cozy. It makes it easier to heat for when the days are a little cooler. The concept of 3 seasons outdoor living is something that is a little bit contagious. Once you get the taste of outdoor living, people kind of want more of it when the days get a little bit cooler. So what do? Generally, it involves getting some sides. You don't see this here, but they have some sides they put up for when days get a little bit cooler. And we've even explored more permanent sides that with glass doors that would fold out of the way and really seal things up to where you can enjoy that outdoor living almost all year round. So that's something that we've done on multiple projects, and it's really a cool concept. I'm gonna have it myself someday. Here we're at a hidden jewel on this vineyard. This is a place where clients generally don't come and people don't generally frequent, but once the vibe of timbers were in the owner's blood, he just couldn't help himself. And it's really cool. There's something that just feels cool and good and upscale and worthwhile about having this. If you can imagine yourself working here, it's just kind of like, hey, it feels better to be running things in and out of these doors with this, well, elegant, strong vibe. And this concept could also be used for some view property. If you had your master bedroom, your kitchen, your great room, or your living room, all in a line like this with the view just kind of just gushing in like that, nature just kind of allowed to gush in, that'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? And it also fit today's modern vibe. You wouldn't have to go with the board and bat. You have windows up above, maybe some actual glass doors. Seen that before? Really cool with that. Lots of things you can do with the geometry and warmth of timbers. So to kind of wind this up, if there's one thing that you could take away from this, I want you to think about yourself and your own DNA. It can only flex so far before it becomes fake. And when Walt did this project and we were helping him as guides, we became aware of that as well, that Walt had his ideas and he was gonna go this way or that way, and still had to keep it organic, keep it real. And that's what he did with the timbers and the stone and the landscaping. He stayed true to who he was, what he wanted, and you can feel it. It feels great. It's all cohesive because of that. So with your project, do the same thing. Don't try to keep up with the Jones because they have this or because so-and-so has this. Just really think about who you are and why you're doing it, and get that really clear. And then the decisions you make, they're gonna feel right. It's just gonna have an organic flow to it. Even if an outside critic might look at it and say, why is the barbecue blah, 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 blah here, or something like this? No worries. This is your thing, your decisions, and it's gonna flow it's gonna be a reflection of you. So be true to who you are, what you want, and have fun with it.